So my friend was asking me when I told him that rice doesn't do much to my, blood sugars. And he was like, whoa, 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 do you know this applies to everybody? Because I sort of said rice doesn't affect me. I said, no, I don't, right? He said, you happen to be Asian. You guys eat a lot of rice. This is in your culture for, who knows how long, right? Which is true, right? And so maybe it affects different people differently. Like people who grew up in, say, Europe who are maybe genetically predisposed to processing wheat. I don't know. But here's the thing. What he said revealed a very important point. And that is, this is better than knowing what applies in general, right? So we have all these studies out there. And one thing you should know as a patient that we did learn in school that not everybody sort of thinks about is that studies are applicable for a population. Like you do a study in the US, you do a study somewhere that people are mostly white. Does this apply the same results to a non-white person, a black person, an Asian, right? Somebody from South America, Latino? It may not, right? And people are different, right? There are genetic differences for ethnic groups. And the thing is, maybe not everybody responds to rice in the same way. Wouldn't it be better to actually know how you respond? Because people are different, right? Some people in a hospital get this treatment, they do better. Some people do not. We know that often for cancer. Some people, you have the same type of cancer, some people respond, some people don't. I mean, as a doctor, it's all intuitive. It's obvious. It's assumed, right? We're not going to guarantee a treatment works for everybody. But the thing is, when you have a way of monitoring, isn't that better? When you know what your body reacts to, what you know your body does when you eat meat versus veggies versus starches of different form, isn't that superior than to know what it does in general in some studies somewhere where you weren't included? Right? That's the superiority of monitoring somebody individually, right? Like we get labs nowadays because people's labs look different, right? When we say most people who look like you, they're like this, but this person may not be, right? So for example, genetic testing, we do it commonly now, HLA testing for different drugs. So some people have bad reactions. And so the thing is, when you have a bad reaction, you have a bad reaction. Does it matter that your ethnic group is not known to have a bad reaction? Not really, because you have the bad reaction. You must have that gene, right? That allele, shall we say. And so we say, oh, this group is higher risk, like Asians are higher risk for developing a cough from ACE inhibitors, so we usually use ARBs instead. But you could be non-Asian and still have a cough, right? And if there's a way to test for it, would you like to? Well, we just say it's too expensive to do it for everybody. That's where we're going to in the future. We're going to do genetic molecular testing for everybody. But we're not there yet. But what about this? Genetic testing still doesn't tell you everything. We can't know from somebody's genes how they respond, right? But if you can measure results per person, if we know how a person's sugars react, right? If I had more data and knew how your sugars go through today, I could get your A1C down a lot better than with the way we measure it 3-4 times a day, right? That's the beauty of having your own device, measuring your own numbers. Something we didn't have before, right? And now it's plentiful and cheap. Cheap being a relative term, not cheap for everybody, but if you're watching this, it's probably affordable for you. Because $60 for a 14-day sensor at Costco, right? So my friend had an interesting point, right? It doesn't apply to him. But the more interesting point and the more insightful takeaway lesson, I would say, is it only applies to you, and that's a positive thing. Because this is exactly what your body does, and that's all you want to know.